there we are. Hey, how y'all doing? I said that I would come in here and read today. 'Twas the night before Christmas. It's been a real hectic week. And I also have the Grinch, but I don't think we have time for the Grinch. So I'm going to quickly read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas by Clement Clark Moore. This is the one that we remember. Turn the light on so I can see the reading. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma, in her kerchief, and I, in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With the little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his courses they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my hand and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from the head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. And I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Yeah, there we go. And here's the lovely picture. Now, and then there's the Grinch, which is several. Not bad pages. The Grinch. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who's girls and boys would wake up bright and early, they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's the one thing he hated, the noise. Noise, noise, noise. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. Feast, feast, feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beef, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he'd like least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. All I need is a reindeer, the Grinch looked around, but since reindeer was scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, Giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in the town. Oop. Okay, I think we're okay. it, it didn't sound like it was going in the right direction. Toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quite snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he struck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who's stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slivered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. I'm going to stop. What I'm reading doesn't make any sense. It should be that he got the idea first, and I think my pages are numbered wrong. I really do. Well, I thank you for listening for a very short time. I wanted to do at least The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I did that. So what I'm going to do now is sign off and let you know that I'll be back in a couple hours so I can read it again. Maybe I'll print out the Grinch again and get it straight, because it doesn't make sense the way I'm reading it, not at all. And Merry, Merry Christmas to all. Hey, Mrs. Blaze 696. Hello, very Very glad to see a new viewer. Yes, I just finished reading 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and I'm going to give it a couple hours, and then I'll read it again. Um, and I printed down the Grinch, but I don't think I printed it down right, so I'm going to reprint it because it didn't make sense the way I was reading it at all. But give me an hour or two, and I'll be back. Please follow me, and that way I'll let you know when I go live. Thank you so much for everybody coming by for a quick short for Christmas. Merry Christmas, guys. I'll stop the stream now, and we'll see you in a couple of hours.